Welcome to Introduction to Study Skills presentation. My name is Matawa Ayub, and I am a Director of Learning and Teaching in the School of Critical Studies and Creative Industries. So the session today is going to look at feedback and what to do with it, and the importance of engaging in group work and how to make effective notes and insights into managing time and getting yourself organised for academic study. So we're going to look at time management, receiving feedback, note taking, giving feedback, and group work. So we're going to start with group work. So the importance of group work. So you're going to find at university that there are a good few assignments where you're going to be asked to work together to produce a piece of work. So group work does provide you with great opportunities to really build on all those kinds of skills, employability skills, looking at graduate attributes like professionalism, communication, creativity. So it does give you the opportunity to really start to begin to practice those really important skills. The fact that you're working with others, it really builds your social networks. Often when you start doing group work, you share mobile numbers, you create WhatsApp groups, you're meeting outside of class. So it really does build up those kinds of social networks and really starts to create this kind of sense of belonging on the course, which is also very important. When you're working together towards a task, you do start thinking about how you understand the assignment, and what you're trying to work towards is this kind of shared understanding of what you have to do. Group work also offers you the opportunity to really see how different people learn and how different ways of working actually happen. You have one way of working, your other peers have different ways of working. So you really start to kind of respect other people's opinions and really see different methods and approaches to learning. Accountability is a really big one. In the sense that you're working together, everybody has responsibilities. It's not just down to one person. Everybody needs to pull their weight. So there is a level of accountability when you're doing group work. But people skills, which are really vitally important, looking ahead and looking at during your studies actually, and also looking ahead when you start to enter the world of work or go into further study, being able to kind of get on with people, being able to really hone in on those negotiable skills that you'll be developing during work, during group work is also really, really important. So participation, engagement, these are really important. Engaging in the study, meeting up, being responsible, organization, really trying to kind of outline what you need to do, doing a timeline, scheduling meetings, turning up, letting people know when you're not going to be able to make a particular meeting. So there is a lot going on in group work, but it is really, really an essential part of academic study and really important part of the world of work. So when we think about organisation and time management, which absolutely feeds into group work, I always start with this: failure to plan is planning to fail, because I really am a great believer in planning. It's the same thing when you come to write essays. Essay plans are like so important, really thinking about what you want to say in an essay, having a plan, a draft to really, really kind of build on, I think is really important. We have to think about time management and being on time, getting to class on time, and being prepared for class, not just it's not just a case of turning up for class, doing pre-reading, so you kind of have a really good idea of what's going to go on in the seminar, in the lectures, being prepared, really trying to organize your life, your diary, your the way that you're going to read, for example. You might need more time to get reading done. So just really trying to organize your time. I put procrastinating there because sometimes we do get caught up in a little bit of I'll do this later. Okay, then I'm going to do this first, but that might not be the priority task. Thinking, okay, I'm going to wait for the right time. We can get up in some of our own processes sometimes, and we really just should think about getting on action, kind of in operationalizing ourselves, really getting on with the work. I've mentioned already this idea of setting time aside to learn, but you also have to take time to rest your brain, take time to have fun, because we absolutely want you to have a great time at university. And communication. I mean, I always think about this in the sense that, when you're not going to be somewhere, or you're not going to be able to do something in terms of your study, communicate with us, keep communicating, keep letting us know what's going on so that we can support you and we can help you. So in terms of organization, I always think to myself that first thing in the morning, I'm a person who likes to do my work and really get any kind of reading and preparation done then. So we all have different times when we feel most productive. So I think for me, that's the best time to tackle the hardest things, when you're feeling most productive. And during those times, you need to kind of not get too distracted. I put ignore your email. But what I am really trying to say is trying to switch off all those other distractions so that you can really focus on what you need to do, because I think this is a really important part of managing your time, to just try and stop those distractions. Where you're working, for example, I know sometimes people like to have a little bit of confusion on their desk because they work better with confusion, and a tiny bit of chaos perhaps is maybe a strong word, but it's always good to kind of have things in a kind of neat order, clear the brain, in order to really kind of focus on the task that you have in hand. I always say learn to say no and ask for help. I say learn to say no because there will be so many distractions when you start university, and my whole idea about learning to say no is all part of really trying to understand yourself as a learner. If you need more time, it's really important that you give yourself more time and not try to mimic what peers are doing, because they have a different way of learning. Maybe they can read faster, or they'll digest information more quickly. And if you try to match somebody else's pattern, you may find yourself falling behind, for example. And that's the last thing that we want to happen to you. Putting phones on silent and kind of switching off other distractions while you're working. I've mentioned that before. I also think it's really important. And also this idea of calendars. I kind of print out a month's calendar on an A3, and I put everything in there, deadlines and what I need to do. And I also have in pencil when I need to start preparing for a task that might not be due for another 2 weeks, or, so I do it on a kind of I print a month's calendar to the size of A2 so that I can write on it and kind of move things around. Some people will use phones, some people will use apps to really support their studies. I think any of these are good. All is good. It's just about trying to find your way of learning. I think that's really the best way to put it. So let's just think about note taking for a moment. So when we do think about note taking. It is really about trying to take these notes in your own words, because when they are in your own words, it kind of really helps with your own understanding, and you're able to kind of convert difficult ideas into your own words. Note taking, again, is a skill. When you first start taking notes, especially at this type of level of study, you might find that your notes are really, really, really long, and you know, written really full sentences. And then it is something that you will practice as you go through your study. But do use, as I said, pre-reading strategies before you start taking notes, because if you've done the reading of the topic you're going to cover, when the lecture is going on or the seminar is going on, you're much more able to kind of grab those key sentences, the key highlight, the key points, because you've already read about them. So I think that's really kind of important. What I used to do at the end of each lecture is kind of take a moment, even if it's just 10 minutes, just to go over the notes, reflect a bit, flesh out any little points, because these are notes you're going to come back to when you go to write your essay or your final assignment, and you're going to need to kind of go over these notes. So I think just trying to keep up, making sure that you can just highlight the important things and use all different kinds of color coding to just help you put things where they need to be on your notes, you know, whichever style that you find is best for you. When I take notes, you know, there's small words that I don't use, like a and the. You know, everybody has their ways of learning how to take their notes, and I think that's what's really important, to find the abbreviations that really suit your discipline and your style of writing. Let's see. So when it comes to note taking, I always say be an active listener. I mean, focus is something that I think during the last year and a half we found even more difficult than maybe we had found before. Just really trying to stay in the space, really trying to listen, really trying to focus. Again, I think it's a skill. It's all kind of really, really new. But the learning and the teaching will be exciting, and it will be some of what you're going to learn. Some of it's going to be brand new. Some of it's going to tap into your prior knowledge, and you'll think, I know about this, you know. So there'll be lots of different stages of that kind of active listening. But it is really important that we try and really engage and participate in our classes. I've mentioned already to review your notes. Structure your notes, use headlines, use subheadings, use colors. I'm all over the place. I just, you know, have codes and symbols, stars, and all sorts of things. So just kind of be comfortable with all the different kinds of techniques and approaches you have. Yellow highlighters, all sorts of things, circle things, star things. I think one thing that's really, really important, date your notes. Always make sure you start with the day's date when you start taking your notes, so you know exactly when they were taken, what lecture they would have been in, even if you don't want to put science or you don't want to put media and communications, you know, or photography, whatever. But just really try and label your notes so you just exactly know where you were when you wrote those particular notes. I think that's really, really important. And remember that the notes will always help you make connections. So it's really, really important that, you know, you might do something in media and communication and really cover sort of narrative theory. Then that's picked up somewhere else in another module. So sometimes, you know, the notes will actually help you with that kind of cross learning, which is also really, really important. Highlight sources so that you know as you go along which particular book something came from, if you're going to draw on a quote, because it's always difficult when you want to go back to do the referencing. You should be referencing and capturing sources as you go along. They're so easily forgotten. Page numbers are so easily forgotten, and I think having an approach that really tries to keep you up to date and keep you sort of in that moment is really the best way forward, rather than you thinking later on, 3 days later, I don't remember what book that came from. Just do your best to do that. Not always possible, but just do your best to do that. So just talking a little bit about feedback. Feedback is kind of so crucial at university, and it's crucial in life. It's just really important that we kind of welcome feedback. And in university, feedback takes so many kinds of forms. It's ongoing. So, for example, in all your lectures, you know, at any moment you can just ask for feedback. You can ask, you know, how am I doing? So it's really about building that communication. You'll all have personal tutors. You can go to your personal tutor for feedback. It doesn't always have to be the person that is teaching you on a particular module. We're here to support you. So that's really, really important that, you know, you don't actually always have to wait for feedback. You can ask, you know, how am I getting on? How can I do this better? You know, I've written this draft. Can you have a look at it? There's academic support centres in the university, so you can approach them for feedback. So there's lots of opportunities, and rightly so, for us to kind of engage on how are we doing. And I think that's really important. So when you actually submit assignments or formative work to see how you're getting on, in Canvas, the online system that we all will be using, and our modules are on Canvas, you'll see that you'll get feedback in a particular text box against learning outcomes or against particular criteria. And those comments will really talk about how you've done, maybe some of the things that you can work on. So if you don't understand anything, or there's a point in the feedback and you think, I thought I did quite well on that, I don't really understand this comment, you can go back to your module leader and just ask for further explanations. Just drop an email and just say, you know, can we have a Teams conversation, or can I pop into your office if we're actually back into campus, which we're all planning to be. So, you know, just to be able to ask for further explanation. And also remember that feedback is always about the work. It's not about us or you or me or anyone as a person. It's about the work and how you can, you know, you can improve that work. And I think the thing about feedback is, no matter what the feedback, I think there's always something to learn. And we're in this kind of academic community that is full of inquiry, full of what is that? What is knowledge? What do I know? What don't I know? You know, it's that kind of space. So, you know, if there's comes a point where you kind of just feel like you just need more support in understanding how you're doing, just do not be afraid to ask. That's so important. So look for feedback, be receptive to feedback, kind of evaluate your feedback, think about how you're going to turn your feedback into feeding forward, you know, and sometimes students do need help with that. So again, don't be afraid to ask, how do I take this into the next piece of work? So regard all feedback as valuable. Feedback is useful, you know this. Feedback from anyone is useful. Say thank you, ask your tutors for guidance. Feedback is critical, so it's objective, it's about the work. And I've said, don't just wait for it, you know, just always try and ask for it as well. I just want to make sure that I've covered everything in feedback. I think I have. Brilliant. So giving feedback. So there are so many mechanisms that you're going to engage in across your university study about how we give feedback. So we have the NSS, the KSS, MEQs, which sort of generated at the sort of two weeks or so before the end of the module, just asking you how you found the module. You know, again, be critical. It's about the module and things that we can improve on, and we take that really seriously because we want to keep improving our own practice as well. You can give feedback for the personal tutor scheme. You've got a personal tutor. Some tutors like myself, we have a feedback box that you can see here. And at the end of every week, we just sort of ask you for general feedback, how you found the lecture, how you found the seminar, how you found a particular activity. So it's just really important that we try and keep these lines of communication very open so that we can help and support progress on both sides, that we can keep improving our modules and you can keep having a great time on them and really enjoy the passion that we bring to teaching and learning. So complete surveys when they come around, because it's really important that you say what you're thinking and how you're feeling in a module, and generally across the university there'll be lots of other kinds of surveys and opportunities for you to contribute to, so it would really be great to hear from you. And when you do, think about how, if we can change anything on modules that will really kind of enhance engagement and participation, and have the confidence to ask questions about your learning. I think this is really, really important. I think when we can make teaching and learning more meaningful, then everybody's having a great time. So just have the confidence and say, why am I learning this? What will this give me? How does this feed into employability? Because these are all the things that we ask ourselves when we write these modules, when we consider what really matters and what's really important to know, what's kind of, so it's just really good sometimes if you have those questions that you ask them, because we want to really help you with practice and theory that are really going to feed into your everyday, apply to your everyday life, so that you not only become this fantastic global citizen that's aware of all the kinds of challenges socially, historically and politically in this world that we're living in now, but you go on with all these skills and attributes to get like a really fantastic job in a few years' time, or go on to further study, whether that be a master's and then on to a PhD. I think it's really good to think big and have really great ambitions and reach high, because I think it's possible. And you're here because you believe in yourself, and we believe in you. Okay, so what next? So there are additional skills that I think there will be some online presentations about, but things to look out for, things to practice are your communication, your presentation skills, really thinking about oral skills, essay writing, big skill, and it is a skill, it's a practice skill, something that we all have to work at, something that all of us are working on continually. This is kind of really important as well. Numeracy skills. There is support here. There's a new an online drop-in maths support center. What else? There's research skills are crucial from day one at university. This kind of having this kind of mind of inquiry, really want to find out things, go to the books, go to the online resources, talk to one another, just to really keep that teaching and learning alive in you, that passion to know, passion to understand. So research is really important. Group work, have fun. I enjoy group work. I work in projects with colleagues, so working together is fantastic. You learn so much from each other, as well as the content and the subject you're studying. I think it's really, really a lot of fun. Critical skills, so we're thinking about critical thinking, critical writing, critical reading. So the word critical is, you will get other presentations on critical thinking and critical skills more generally, but it's something to really work hard on, being critical when you're really looking at literature, drawing on sources, and really thinking objectively, really connecting subjects to the outside world, the social world, and really kind of understanding the wider arguments in much of what you're learning. So employability skills, I didn't have it on the last slide. So much of these are embedded into the curriculum, and personal, interpersonal, your study skills, career management. Much of this is, as I said, embedded in your curriculum, and you do demonstrate much of these skills through your assignments as well. So this is the end of the presentation. A couple of books here for you. Cottrell, very big in my library, does a lot of study skills. Do try and grab any of the Cottrell books, cite them right. I've given you the book here, but it is online, free at the university. If you go through the LRC, you should find the link there. Writing Better Essays, a really, really good book. Again, another nice breakdown around study skills. And there'll be so many more books that you'll come across around reflective writing, around reflection, because you will be asked to write some reflective essays as well. So that's the end of the presentation. Just saying to stay safe. I hope you've enjoyed that. Good luck at Kingston University, and hopefully I will see you at some stage. Thank you very much. Bye.